Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at the final figure from the Wave 1 of Transformers Siege. This is Weaponizer Cog. Now, I'm sure as many of you know by now, the Weaponizer branding means that Cog will disassemble and become armor and weapons for the other Siege figures as part of the combat system. But I have to say, Cog is a great figure on its own. Personally speaking, I am very nostalgic for Cog, seeing as how Fortress Maximus was my favorite G1 figure, and having him, and of course, having Fortress Maximus, you had Cog. And Cog was the combined form of two vehicle drones, Gasket and Grommet, who are also present here. Cog is its own weapon, but he does come with two handguns, and I do want to focus in on them for a second. These are not your standard, the standard blasters for Cog. These are actually, and both of them are the same. These are the blasters that Cerebros used. If you had the original G1 Cerebros, this is what its handgun looked like. So I was a little disappointed that we got two of them and not one for Cerebros and one for Cog, but just give one of these to Cerebros, and that's going to make your Fortress Maximus that much better. I do want to mention, and this is something that a lot of reviewers have had problems with. In this hand, the guns fit very loose. In this hand, they are loose, but not as loose. So that is something to be aware of. I've given the guns to other figures, and they hold them normally, so it's definitely something to do with the mold of Cog. But, yeah, since we're starting in robot mode, there's only a swivel here in the shoulder. You have an outward arm movement as well as bend at the elbow. The hips are on universal joints, and you do have a more than 90-degree bend, and, of course, ankle articulation, and a hip joint. Obviously, a lot of that articulation has to do with what the play pattern that Cog is in terms of disassembling and forming weapons. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but first we'll pause and get into the transformation. Okay, so I've gone ahead and removed the Cog's hand guns. As always, the new style we're trying to do the transformations with is I will explain what to do and then go ahead and do it. So the first step you're going to want to do with Cog is separate Gasket from Grommet, and I hope I have those names right. It's been a while. So they just peg together like so, and then you get those two pieces. We'll focus on the leg section here. The next step is you're going to take this section that pegged into Gasket, fold it over, and there are some tabs and slots that will help hold it, the legs together and hold it into place. One complaint I know a lot of reviewers have on these figures is the fact that they kind of, and yeah, see, that's one of the things, is that the legs want to detach, so you got to make sure the hips are plugged in completely all the way up into those joints, and then there you have Grommet, and then you can come in and attach the guns here and peg them into the ports. There's a lot more ports and pegs on Cog than, say, the regular Deluxes, and that's because of the Weaponizer pattern. So here, we're going to work with the top, and the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the arms from either side. Next, you're going to rotate Cog's head around and fold it 90 degrees underneath. So rotate it around, and you'll rotate it down underneath 90 degrees. And finally, you'll come back and into these holes on the chest, peg the arms in. I prefer doing it so that the hollow underbodies face inward, but you can do whatever you want. And of course, there is a little bit of a hinge here, so you can raise these guns up if you so desire. But that's Gasket and Grommet in their individual vehicle modes. There is a slot right here and a tab right here, so you can actually peg them together. And this was something the original toy, as far as I can remember, didn't do. And you can have a combined Gasket and Grommet ground tank. Now, that's basically what they do as Gasket, Grommet, and Cog. But like I said, they're weaponizers. So, let's go to town. Remove the guns here. Flip this hip section back up. Pull the legs off. Go ahead, come underneath here. There's a little peg that can be flipped up. Come over here. Peg the arms. The head, this section, there's a lot you can do. You can fold it out like this, but the head will get in the way. So what you want to do is bring it up slightly. Then you can close it up all the way, and there is another tab right there. This can form a blaster, a shield, what have you. Again, this can form a blaster of sorts. The instructions do show a lot of different possibilities in terms of combination as what you can do with Cog. They have two set positions. Some of the stuff that I found out that I prefer is you fold the knees up like this. These can actually form feet. So you'll use these pegs as boots, but also here you have a gun, a barrel right there, and if you fold that out so you can have some arm, basically give the figure a little room to grab it, you can use it as a blaster like this, or use it as a blaster like that, maybe peg it into the arm. The arms here, you can use them as a rifle like this, but I've actually found that if you rotate them up and down and like this, so basically you're just swiveling it at the bicep and then accordioning it up, this makes a nice little hand rifle for the deluxe figures. Let me pause. We're going to use Hound, and I'll show you one of my preferred configurations. And here's a little way I have Hound displayed. Basically, I have the arms in that blaster mode I showed you. I've got his handguns pegged into the forearms, and then I'm using the legs of Cog as like the extended boots. And then I just have the backpack here. I recombined the torso pieces. I'm using them as a backpack. I have the head folded down slightly, but I had to rotate it around so it would fit. You can also have it, pegging in the other way, depending on how, have it sit a little lower. And I'm using a Hound's combined weapon there as a shoulder cannon, but there's a lot of different things you can do. I do know there's a lot of people who are buying 2 or 3 cogs and creating these cogs upon cogs upon cogs. And I just like to say that, we're not at a point yet where the Wave 1 Siege Deluxes have reached saturation. So if you're going into stores and clearing them out of all their cogs, take a moment and think about the other collectors who haven't been able to find one figure yet, and that's all they want. Like I said, Cog is an okay figure on its own. There are some issues with looseness in the joints, especially where the joints are meant to come apart. And really, you're not buying Cog to be a standalone figure. You're buying him to either put with your Fortress Maximus that you got a couple of years ago, that really now the Cog really sort of doesn't fit in with, or to do something like I have here and make him the armor of another figure. So that's about it. I should tell you that Amazon.com has been having the Deluxes, Voyagers, Battle Masters, and Micro Masters coming in and out of stock here and there. So you might get lucky and be able to find a Cog, Hound, Sideswipe, and Skytread there, as well as all the other figures. If not, they are trickling out more and more into other retail establishments, and Hasbro Toy Shop, of all places, has a computer error, and the deluxes are actually being sold for $9.99. When was the last time we could buy a deluxe figure for $9.99? So, this is your old pal Chuck. Once again, I hope you all had a great holiday season, and I do think this will be up before New Year's, so Happy New Year. I hope 2019 is a great year for you. That's it. So, for Cog, we will see you next time.